आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्ताय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः। दाक्षकिरणाचान्त अमन्मोहाब्दये नमः। अनन्तानन्दकृष्णाय
कृष्णाय
जगन्मङ्गलं
जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये।
There's very little left. We finish this, and if we have the time, one of you can talk about what this text is about, what he covered in the text. So you have some time to think about what you want to summarize it. All yours.
Shall I read, Swamiji? Yeah. Verse 28. Lakshmidhara kave suktihi sharadambhoja sambritaha Advaita Makarandoyam vidvadbringhairnipiyatam. His own name he reveals here. Lakshmidhara Kavehe Suktihi Iti. This was written by Lakshmidhara Kavi. Kavihi is Sarvagya Kranta Darshi, the one who is able to see through. Here it means the one who understands the Shastra. So, Shastrajna Lakshmidharaha Kavihi. He is Kavihi, no doubt about that. The very first verse shows that. And you find all over in this text that it is very cryptic and at the same time very clear. A poet also is Kavi because he is able to see through. If he just describes what is there, he is not a Kavi. He has to see something more. Here is a Kavi, a real Kavi, because this work is very matter of fact. There was not one extra word. He maintains the fact from the first verse onwards. Even if there is some kind of a handling of an example, etc., he does that in a beautiful form and it is meaningful all the way. That is a Kavi. Kavitam is Kavitvam is there, but at the same time, there is clarity all the way. That clarity is very important for a Kavi. Lakshmidhara was a Kavi and therefore he had this title Kavi. His name was Lakshmidhara. Lakshmidharaha Kavishcha, therefore Lakshmidhara Kavihi. What he said is...
It says Lakshmidhara Kavehe. Can somebody talk about the why Kavehe? What vibhakti it is? What
Shashti Vibhakti.
Shashti Vibhakti.
Sixth one. Of
Can anybody remember the Kavi Shabda?
कवि कवि कवयः कविं कवि कवीन् कविना कविभ्यां कविभ्यः कवये कविभ्यां कविभ्यः कवेः कविभ्यां कविभ्यः कवेः कवयोः कवीनां कवौ कवयोः कविषु. हे कवि
Perfect.
हे कवि हे कवयः.
So it is Shashti here, not Panchami.
What he said is Sukti. Sukti Sharad Ambhoja Sambhritaha. One compound. Sukti Sushtu Uktihi Suktihi. A well-made statement is called Suktihi. These are Suktyaha Eva. Suktyaha Eva. These words are said in a form which are very nice to hear and at the same time are highly meaningful, revealing the Vastu, dismissing all the arguments which are against the Vastu. These Suktyaha Eva Sharad Ambhojani. Ambhojani means Ambujani. Ambuja, anything that is born of water, like a lotus or a lily. Here, let us take it as a lotus. And what kind of lotus is it? Sharad Kala Amboja. It can mean an autumnal lotus or Sharad Kala Chandraha Iva Ambojaha. A lotus which is white like the autumnal moon. Let us take it as a white lotus, where Saraswati resides. This is the meaning of Sharad Amboja. Teshu Kamaleshu Sambhritaha Teshu Sampannaha. In the lotus, in all of them, what is there, what obtains, what is held, what is preserved, what is collected and kept, Sambritaha is Makarandaha. Here, the Makaranda can be taken as the rasa. Even though we say Makaranda is pollen, it is also nectar. And what is that nectar? Advaita Makarandoyam. Advaitam eva Makarandaha iti Advaita Makarandoyam. Advayam Brahmaiva. This non-dual Brahman alone is Makarandaha, Rasaha, nectar. Advaita Makarandaha. Raso Vaisaha. Rasayam Hevayam Labdva Nandi Bhavati. Taittiriya Upanishad. That Rasaha is the Makaranda here. Lakshmidhara Kavehe Sukti Sharadamboja Sambritaha Advaita Makarandaha Ayam. These words of Lakshmidhara Kavi are filled with the nectar of Advaita. Advaita Makarandoyam Nipiyatam Nitaram Piyatam Muhurmuhu. Until one gets oneself free from all doubts and vagueness, error, I am Makarandaha Sevyatam. May one contemplate upon these nectar-like words of Lakshmidhara Kavi again and again till they are understood. By whom? Vidvad Bringaihi. Once you say Amboja, then you require Bringa. Because a crow cannot get nectar out of a lotus. It has to be a Bringa, a kind of a honeybee. It is also called Shatpadi because it has 6 legs. Here in this study, we require the 6th Pramana, Shabda Pramana, and therefore those who have the Shabda Pramana, the 6th Pramana, the Astikas who have Shraddha in the Shastra as a Pramana, are also likened to a Shatpadi and are referred to as Bringa, Vidvad Bringa. Vidvamsaha eva Bringaha. Brahma Rasajnaha Advaita Rasajnaha. Or Brahma Rasajnaha Advaita Rasajnaha. They are the people who can appreciate the Advaita Rasa. Taihi Vidvad Bringaihi Ayam Advaita Makarandaha Nitaram Piyatam Sevyatam Ityartaha. Vidvad Bringaihi. By all these Vidwans, let this nectar of Advaita, non-duality, be partaken. Let it be enjoyed, Nitaram. Vai nitaram piyatam, until all the doubts disappear. Let these verses be repeated and the meaning seen again and again. It is a vichara yogya grantha. Therefore, vidvad bringaihi nitaram piyatam punah punaha piyatam sevyatam ityartha. In Panchadashi, Vidyaranya Swami says, Vicharyapi aparokshena brahmatmanam na veti chet. If one does not really understand the Brahmatma aparokshena, with all this vichara, what should one do? And the answer given there is aparoksha avasanatvat bhuyo bhuyo vicharayet. Since aparoksha jnanam is the avasana, the end, one has to understand. And until one understands, one has to make attempts to understand. Bhuyo bhuyo vicharayet. May vichara, inquiry, be done again and again until it is understood. The same thing is said here. Vidvad bringaihi nipiyatam nitaram piyatam. This is Advaita Makaranda. Whatever was established by the Shastra is presented very well in this text. Advaita Makarandoyam vidvad bringaihi nipiyatam.
Swamiji, I would like to convey the core concepts of Advaita Makaranda. Atma is ever free. Bondage is only imagined through avidya, ignorance. Ignorance is dispelled by Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Regular practice of that. Listening, reflection, and contemplation. Atma as Sakshi. Sakshi Chaitanya is a witness, is a karta, a bhokta. Individuality arises only due to upadhi, adjuncts. Mithyatva of bondage, like rope, snake, illusion, bondage has crept in, and that has to be dispelled only out of knowledge. The seeker must recognize that Brahman is the substratum. The world is dependent appearance. So, Jagat Mithya, Brahma Satyam. Liberation is not about changing the world, but about correcting the vision, seeing the substratum as it is. The teaching point is verse 27 consolidates the Advaita stance. Brahman, Satyam, absolute truth. Everything else is dependent on that. So Jagat Mithya, dependent reality. Jiva is Brahman, misunderstood due to ignorance. The verse is pivot in the text. The 27th, the last verse is the sum and substance, summarizing the entire thing. The verse is a pivot in the text. It shifts the student's focus from the debating the world's reality to fitting and grasping the Advaita position that only Brahman is the ultimate truth, ultimate Satyam. Everything else is Mithya. This is the sum and substance of the Advaita Makaranda as I gleam it. Namaskar.
You can recognize the speaker. Divyansh must say something.
Yes, so Swamiji, this here Swamiji is talking about Bringa, right? So is the literal translation to a honeybee or like it's a specific insect? You are on mute, Swamiji.
Bringa is bee, honey bee only.
Okay, because I think like in some Puranic stories, it mentions of a bringi insect. So it says that it is a special kind of insect. So what it does is it catches its prey and puts it into his like
Correct, correct,
matlab, in their nest or
correct,
whatever,
correct,
and it keeps on hitting it, right? Till that, and it hits it so many times that the prey turns into the bringy
correct.
itself. So if we use that here, I think the Acharya keeps on hitting the Shishya with again and again and again until that Shishya becomes enlightened himself.
Correct.
Um, can I share some?
Yeah, sure.
So like uh, it was nice going through this text. Um, so like it was not a Shravanam text. So I think like it assumed that the person has already been reading about Advaita Vedanta and also some Sanskritam, because Swamiji like very casually uses Sanskrit words in the English translation. So I think Swamiji like were able to like help us get the meaning of those words specifically. And um, so like it's like the Siddhanta is very clear in the I think the starting 2 3 verses, right? um, like uh, uh, Satchidananda Brahman Aham Asmi, something like that, right? So, and then we had the sequence of questions from Purva Pakshi. Some of those were silly, some of those were repetitive, like repetitive in the sense that that thing was already explained by Swamiji, but he was like coming again to it. So I think this text like covered like the whole topic was centered on this only, Satchidananda Brahma Aham Asmi, and Swamiji like explained it from different point of views. So from the like when the Purva Pakshi asks a question, so Swamiji refutes that, and from his standpoint also he will like conclude that there is actually no difference between Brahman and uh, the Jiva. And also it also like highlights what are the standard like mistaken notions seeker might have, right? So we maybe some of the doubts we find them very silly, or like the Purupakshi was being maybe stupid to ask the question again, but like it actually like it enables us to like rethink about the answer ourselves. And maybe like Swamiji also like pointed out, right, that like some of us may already know the answer of that question, and like we can maybe others can like think through it again, and it is a revision or a nididhyasanam for the person who maybe already have the answer, like Jayaji, maybe he was like it was a nididhyasanam for him because he might already have the answers. um, yes, but I think overall it is like it like uh, it included all the standard questions that a person may ask. So in our journey forward, these questions may occur at a later stage. Or like for me also, like I asked the question again in the initial verses, and after some time I forgot the answer. I again asked it later. So then I realized, okay, I already maybe have like already Swamiji had answered it, but I was not able to internalize it, right? So my thought process was again going back how I used to think. So maybe like when we do the repetitive thinking on this one, then our like whole thought process keeps on like thinking in the, we can say, Shastra Sammat Tarka, not our Tarka. So yeah, I think it was good text.
One of
Swamiji,
the ways of addressing this kind of problem is to take detailed notes. If you take my old notes, which I often look back and refer to, you will find, even as I'm writing notes, a lot of marginal comments. I find it very useful. Many times I will say, refer back to an earlier verse, and or sometimes not even refer, but my own question, which I reformulate. So I know that I've already thought about it and asked this question, perhaps I've been answered, but it's still again occurring to me. So that kind of connection you can make if you take, especially when you are studying Upanishads or texts like this, Manana text, which require you to think a lot. So detailed note-taking is a very good way of dealing with some of these issues that come to our mind. In fact, my own mind works very much as a visual, on a visual plane. So in many of my notes, you will find small sketches, boxed items and things that I can actually visualize my notes, which I find useful, but it may not work for everybody. Then my cross connection also becomes easier, whether in the same text or very often with Bhagavad Gita, and then I put a reference, look up that, there'll be a small comment on that saying, look up verse number so and so, the Bhagavad Gita. Like that, you'll find that kind of note taking will help clarify a lot of things. I don't want to talk, but if somebody can talk a little bit more about, if you look at the text, there are only 27 verses. If you remove the prayer sloka and final concluding sloka, there's about 25 verses. Of that, the real teaching, which is more like, the actual, what you would learn in Shravanam, is there in the first, I think, up to 7 or so. So you can read that again and then say, okay, that is complete. Then from there on, from next verse onwards, it's all a question of what will prevent you from understanding. And one of the biggest problems we all have is not Shraddha. Shraddha is there. That's why we are spending so much time on this. But that inability to disconnect with the Sukshma Sthula Sharira, which fortunately keeps recurring as I. Despite our buddhi analyzing it and understanding that it's not I, or the other way around, I cannot be the Sukshma Sthula Sharira, it becomes not very easy to get rid of that impression. And I think later verses, quite a lot of it touched upon this Dehabhimana, and why that is something which becomes a block in our clarity of understanding. And right at the end, he's talking about Aparoksha Jnanam. Unless this Jnanam becomes Aparoksha Jnanam and Tattva Jnanam, it will still block us from understanding. So in the last few verses, he's still talking about Aparoksha Jnana. So if you were to reread this, we have a lot of time, the entire 27 verses. And even as you read, try and see if you can figure out where he's talking about the actual sense of what Divyansh mentioned, Sachidananda Brahmaham. And then where he talks about the other problems that we face as normal learning process. So, Jaya, would you suggest that we read the entire verse once and then we can...
Yeah. Which verse, Swamiji?
Sorry?
No.
Which
You
verse?
said the entire verse. Which
27 verses,
verse?
not too much. Yeah, what I'm wanting to do is see if we can read it, and even as we read it, whether we can make out what he's trying to say in terms of how he's trying to building the whole case.
Oh, okay. So just reread from the beginning, right?
Yes.
Definitely. I think I'm fine with that. It's really helpful.
I think just the verses. I mean, not the text, right?
The Moolam.
The Sanskrit
that we have.
verses.
Yeah.
Chanted, yes, Sanskrit verse only.
Yeah.
And even as you read, see if the meaning occurs in the buddhi. You can start with the prayer verse, Kataksha Kirana Chanta, and read the entire 27 verses. If you think that it'd be difficult for all of us to read together because of this online problem, one person can do the reading, others can all read together with the with thing being muted.
Or
So one
we
person
could
can take
just share the screen. Divyansh can play it actually, and we can chant along.
One second, let me check if I have the whole text. Yeah. Give me just 1 second.
Right in the beginning, he said, Ahamasmi Sada Bhami, starting from there. While you're doing that, we will start with the next text. Everybody okay? We'll start on Monday with the Rudram. Does everybody have the book, or does anybody require a book?
I'm still waiting for mine. Hopefully, it'll be delivered by Friday.
Okay. Anand, you also don't have a book?
No, Swamiji. I'll get a soft copy, Swamiji.
Anybody else who wants to join, make sure that they have access to a copy. I still have a few copies left with me. I've given away a few copies, but there's still a few copies with me. You can.
नमन्मोहात्मजे नमः अनन्तानन्द कृष्णाय जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये अहमस्मि सदा भावि कदाचिन्नाहमप्रियः ब्रह्मैवाहमतस्थितम् सच्चिदानन्दलक्षणम् मय्येवो देति विद्योऽस्ति जगद्गन्धर्वपत्तनम् अतोऽहं न कथं ब्रह्म सर्वज्ञं सर्वकारणम् न स्वतः प्रत्यभिज्ञानात्
निरंशत्वान्न चान्यतः न चाश्रज विनाशान्मे विनाशस्यादनाश्रयात् न शोषप्लोषविक्लेद खेदाश्चिन्न भसो मम सत्यैरप्यनिलाग्न्यं शस्त्रैः किमुत कल्पितैः अभारूपस्य विश्वस्य स्थानं भासन्निधेर्विना कदाचिन्नावकल्पेत भाचाहं तेन सर्वगः न हि भानादृते सत्त्वं नर्ते भानं चितोचितः चित्तं बन्धोऽपि नाध्यासात् ऋते तेनाहमद्वयः न देहो नेन्द्रियं चाहं
Here is where he starts with that Dehabhimanam being a problem.
आक्रीडत्वादिदन्धिजः साक्षी सर्वान् वितः प्रेयान् अहं नाहं कदाचन परिणामपरिच्छेद परितापैरुपप्लवात् सुप्तेऽहमिन दृश्यन्ते दुःखदोषप्रवृत्तयः अतस्तस्यैव संसारः न मे संसर्तृसाक्षिणः सुप्तस्मुक्तिं न जानाति नासुप्ते स्वप्नजागरौ जाग्रत्स्वप्नसुषुप्तीनां भाग्यतोऽहमसद्दशः विज्ञानविरतिस्तुप्तिः तज्जन्मस्वप्नजागरौ तत्साक्षिणः कथं मे स्युः नित्यज्ञानस्य ते त्रयः षट्विकारवतां वेत्त निर्विकारोऽहमन्यथा तद्विकारानुसन्धानं सर्वथा नावकल्पते तेन तेन हि रूपेण जायते लीयते मुहुः विकारि वस्तुनस्तेषाम् अनुसन्धातृसाधुतः न च स्वजन्मना चम्ब द्रष्टुमर्हति कश्चन तौ हि प्रागुत्तराभाव चरमप्रथमक्षणौ न प्रकाशेऽहमित्युक्तिः यत्प्रकाशनिबन्धना स्वप्रकाशं तमात्मानम् अप्रकाशः कथं कृतेत् तथाप्याभाति गोप्येषः विचाराभावजीवनः अवश्ययश्चिदाकाशे विचारार्कोदयावधिः आत्मा ज्ञानमहानिद्रा त्रिम्भितेऽस्मिन् जगन्मये दीर्घस्वप्ने स्फुरन्त्येते स्वर्गमोक्षादिविभ्रमाः जडा जडविभागोऽयम् अजडे मयि कल्पितः इत्तिभागे भवे चित्र चराचरविभागवते चैत्योपरागरूपाणि साक्षिता विनतात्विकी उपलक्षणमेवेयम् तरङ्गजितं बुधे अमृताभ्यर्नमे वीर्तिः वृषादिन्देरजन्मभिः फटिकात्रेर्नमे रागः स्वाप्नसन्ध्या प्रविभ्रमैः स्वरूपमेव मे सत्त्वं न तु धर्मो न भस्वते मदन्यस्य सतो भावात् न हि सा जाति विद्यते स्वरूपमेव मे ज्ञानं न गुणः सगुणो यदि अनात्मत्वमसत्त्वं वा ज्ञेयाज्ञेयत्वयोपतेत् अहमेव सुखं नान्यत् अन्यज्ञेनैव तत्सुखम् अमदर्थं न हि प्रेयः मदर्थं न स्वतः प्रियम् न हि नानास्वरूपं स्यात् एकं वस्तु कदाचन तस्मादखण्ड एवास्मि विजहज्जगतिर्भिदाम् परोक्षता परिच्छेद चावल्यापोहनिर्मलम् तदधीति विरागत्यम् अहमेकरसं महः उपशान्तजगज्जीव शिष्याचार्येश्वरभ्रमम् स्वतस्सिद्धमनाद्यन्तम् परिपूर्णमहं महः लक्ष्मीधर कवे स्तुति शरदं भोजसंहृतः अद्वैतमकरन्दोऽयं विद्वद्भृङ्गैर्निपीयताम्
Will one of you change the group name to Rudram, Sri Rudram, and Anand or Atreya, do you have Commander Sundareshan's number? Please add him to the group he wants to attend.
Sure, Swami.
Swamiji, don't
We'll
have
just
the
collect
contact.
it and if we can get
Atreya,
the
do you
number.
have?
No, Swamiji.
Okay, I'll forward it to you.
Sure.
Jaya, yours now. We can close.
Oh, we'll close. Okay.
Unless there's some other comment, somebody has to let them invite anybody who wants to say anything, and then we can.
So
Yes.
I just quickly wanted to add something. So when you study this text and you come across all the various questions and the doubts are all resolved, ultimately I think the only question that should remain is, how can I not be Brahman? When you really understand and assimilate the entire what's conveyed in this text, I think finally there's no way to refute that you're not Brahman.
Yeah. And I think one thing which is unique in this commentary by Pujya Swamiji is as part of the lengthy introduction that he gave before we dived into the text, he already brought out all the logical flaws with other darshanas. So that was quite interesting. So you really have a clarity now where the flaws are from a logical perspective, right? So where he brought out the concepts of using Satya what is that? Satkaryavada, Mithyatvam, and Adhisthana. Because these are the important ones that, bring about the unanswered questions in other darshanas. So he has brought it out well with specifically calling out Dvaita, Vishishta Advaitam, and Shunyavada, right? At least these three. And then logically concluding that therefore there is only one possibility, which is Advaita, right? So that was quite nice. And I think we have to clearly understand that Satkaryavada and Adhisthana, the concept of Adhisthana, because that is the one that really leads us to non-duality. That is how I see it. So uh, the other philosophies, that is where it stops if they don't address what is the Adhisthana, right? So that is one thought was a big add-on by Puja Swamiji in
So true.
right.
In fact,
And
if it is not Advaita, whatever other darshana you have, it is some form of Dvaita only. If it is not Advaita, it has to be Dvaita. There is no other, just Advaita and everything else is Dvaita.
correct. I think that he brought out well while arguing about Vishishta Advaita itself, explaining that Vishishta means there is a Visheshana, right? So if there is a Visheshana, which is a qualifier, that is meant to distinguish one from another. So that means already duality is fixed. So that was a beautiful thing he logically concluded. So those were, I found that whole introduction was very, enlightening to appreciate the Advaitic possibility, right? So that was really good. And I think particularly I was also quite happy with this last verse 27, not 26, where, or even earlier, I think. Because one important point, all of us might already know it, but I think I just wanted to reiterate myself about that. Because from a language perspective, when we negate everything and then say that we are the witness or sakshi, here you can see one verse which clearly says that even that sakshi is not our intrinsic nature, right? So that sakshitvam is used only when we talk about something to be witnessed, which is the world, right? But if you understand that to be mithya, then there is no witness also, right? That is also resolved. So everything is resolved. That comes in the last 27 or 26 also, right? So I think those were some good key takeaways. Anybody else has anything to add on or comment or?
I just wanted to add one point. Yes. So, since this is a Mananam text, we all can see the importance of Mananam also, because we have been, like, for all of us been Vedanta students for a very long time, but there is a lot of Shravanam happening with or without our knowledge. So something or the other, we attend classes, we listen to audios. So a lot of Shravanam takes place, but still at the back of the mind, like when we get back to the samsara or get back to the world, something or the other pulls us, and this abhimana somehow comes, and subconsciously we tend to do act as if this knowledge is not there in the back, right? So somehow the attachment is taking over, and that is where the importance of this manana comes, because it's still there is some unresolved doubts in the mind, because of which we have this orientation or the vasanas to get back to the samsara and still deal with those problems. But the good thing in a way is that, so this is, I heard of an example, which is when a person is, let's say, a diabetic, but when he does not know that he is diabetic, he still continues to have sweets and enjoy everything, but he does not actually suffer the problem. He does not suffer from the knowledge of knowing that he has diabetes. So though he has diabetes, he doesn't still know, so he enjoys it. But if a person comes to know that he has diabetes, then he is going to suffer even before having sweets, during sweets, and after sweets also. In a sense, we are also in the same boat that okay, we know there is limitation to samsara, so we may feel sometimes okay before doing that, okay, this is samsara, this has limitation, so we try to restrict ourselves, and during enjoy also we feel sometimes bad, afterwards we feel bad, but the I think we are all past that level, because unless we know there is a problem, we can't even address it. So we have already seen the limitation, and only when we know the limitations we can get past that limitation, right? So I think that is where this text and whatever we are going to see, we are going to continue in this journey, because this is always a journey where the entangled bundle of thread is slowly loosening from those entanglements through this journey, and then finally there is some result out of it, and we can also see the results through this journey, from wherever we started until now, and this journey will continue. And while through this journey, we still continue to do Shravanam and parallelly Mananam, which will slowly remove all the doubts that we have. And it's not step one, step two, step three. All Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam has to happen simultaneously, parallelly, at one point in time. So, and I think we are all at that level, and it's very happy to see all of us in this journey, not facing the difficulties, but trying to cross that difficulty together, while with Swamiji's blessings and Ishvara's blessing. So I'm very grateful, and yeah, looking forward to start the next text also.
Anybody else?
The Sri Rudram is, a lot of people chant Sri Rudram. Many of them do it daily. So if you know anybody who's chanting, they may be interested in knowing the meanings. So please do let them know. We will try and organize to make sure that they get the book in hand. Because once you start, then it becomes a little bit more difficult to join in and absorb. So anybody you know who might be chanting Rudram but not knowing the meaning, might be worth inviting them.
Anybody else has anything to say?
One thing.
Yeah, Divyansh, we can't hear you.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
One thing, like Anand mentioned that since we know that there is no actually sukha in the objects, but to like take it positively, if we understand like what is the nature of Ananda actually, like in that verse, right? So Swamiji had the discussion with Puru Pakshi, like what gives Ananda really? It's not the objects that gives the Ananda, right? When the, what is that? Agendi gets resolved, then we have the Ananda. So Ananda is the like our nature, right? So I would like to like revisit that thing again, like because I think that was quite like insightful, and maybe I need to maybe think like my life's pursuits that I'm doing, why I'm trying to like pursue them, and what is the end goal.
Divyansh, if you do write something, think about it and write something which, if it is not personal and can be shared in the group, like do summarize something and share it in the group for everyone.
Sure. But I'm not planning to like revisit that now.
Yeah.
I don't have.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am
yeah.
already like in my some pursuits that I need to like address currently. When I get time, then I will revisit it.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So I think if there is no other comments, we'll close this. On behalf of all of us, I would like to thank Swamiji, and it's a great blessing that we got to do this particular text, which is very unique. Very few people talk about this text. I have not heard about this text before, and we all thoroughly enjoyed this. Such a beautiful text, right? This is like really a hardcore Advaitic text, but in a very, very simple 27 verses. So it's a wonderful selection of text by Swamiji. And he also kind of laid so much trust in us that we are ready for this. So I'm sure many of us feel we don't have the Adhikaritvam, but he kind of assumed that we have it and he boldly took this with us. So I think that is a very, very great blessing that we are getting from our Guru. So we are truly blessed. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you so much for this. And we look forward to the next Rudram text, which I'm sure will be as interesting as this, because that is again one unique thing, because we never talk about Rudram from a Vedantic class perspective, right? We have only heard of Rudram from chanting perspective. So looking at the meaning is something really very insightful. So look forward to that. So we'll close. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Swamiji.
Om, thank you,
Om
everybody.
Swamiji.
Swamiji.
Namaskaram.
Om Swamiji, धन्यवाद.